Hey, good morning, everybody. Wednesday, April 23rd. Just wanted to give you guys a quick update. I know it's weird seeing me update twice in 1 week, but I did tell you that, when I wanted to chronicle my journey, Becky and I's, my family's journey, that good and bad, I wanted to share with you some things. So, we had a good infusion on Monday. Um, the steroids that they give me for pre med really messed me up, and same with the Benadryl. So they give me pre meds, and I know that steroids mess me up, and I've been trying to get them to cut back on them, but where this is a trial, they have certain protocols that they have to rigidly follow, which I understand. So they did the one change they made this week was that they went from a 4 and 4, 4 hours of infusion and 4 hours of observation, to 2 and 4. So I had to endure another 5 blood work labs plus 3 EKGs again because of the big changes. So trial protocol has to stay the same. So luckily, we're going every other week now, so that I have a couple weeks to heal. That being said, hopefully on the next round of infusions, we can go down to 2 and 2, and they can cut back on the pre meds or eliminate them. Because to be honest with you, I believe that the only side effect I'm having with this drug is the side effects of the pre meds. That being said, I've been having digestive issues ever since I've been off chemotherapy, and I have a referral in for an endocrinologist who put my stents in, but they're 4 to 6 weeks out, and so I've been struggling with digestive issues, and I'm trying everything I possibly can with diet, exercise, to control that. So when we got home on Monday night, we got to the hotel on Monday night, the gas and bloating started and the pain. We had dinner, a dinner that usually doesn't bother me, but for some reason Monday night it bothered me, so I struggled to sleep on Monday night. And then we had a really good ride home yesterday. All the Patriots Day traffic was gone. We checked out around 10:30, and had a nice stress-free drive home. Had a good conversation with our good friend Pat Foley, who we absolutely love, and just had a good conversation with him, and it just felt really good getting home. And that being said, we grabbed the mail like we always do, and little backstory: when we signed the consent form to do this trial, it was with the understanding that nothing that was trial related would ever get charged to my personal insurance, my work insurance, which is Blue Cross Anthem. So, like routine lab work, stuff like that could be billed, which, no big deal. So we get home, we're feeling pretty good, and there's an explanation of benefits form in the mail. No big deal. We get those all the time. So we open it up, and lo and behold, every single procedure that they have done since I started this trial has been billed to my insurance, and none of it has been paid. You know, when you look at the explanation of benefits, there's a spot that says you may owe, and where that was, it said you may owe $14,000. So right then, you know, Becky started stressing out, which turned into stress for me. And with the amount of mind work that I've been doing controlling my stress, I've really no longer been a slave to my addictive nature of dumping cortisol in my body and adrenaline. You know, it's I've been able to control, you know, my stress pretty well through different things that I've been doing. And right then, you know, my stress response went up. And I'm still on that, you know, I'm still coming down from that steroid, which keys me up and makes me manic. So, um, long story short, you know, Becky started making phone calls trying to figure out who to talk to at Dana Farber. And I'm making phone calls to the trial nurse, you know, right wild, you know, respectful but wild, you know, because this was not supposed to happen. So, um, you know, he called me back and calmed me down. And, you know, I ended up sending copies of all, you know, it's going to be taken care of. But, you know, what a lot of people don't see in a cancer journey is the added stress of stuff like this that really leads to inflammation of your body inside. You know, I've already got, you know, cancer on my pancreas, and I've already got cancer on my liver, and that affects my digestion. And when I dump a whole bunch of cortisol in my body, it creates inflammation. So we had a very sensible dinner last night that has not bothered me before. And this time, it not only bothered me, it hurt. You know, so I went to bed in pain. You know, I took some Tylenol and went to bed, and the one thing I usually do is I meditate to try and make sure I go to bed stress free. Well, last night my mind wouldn't shut off. You know, I just kept stressing about everything. You know, I couldn't shut my mind off. I kept dumping cortisol into my body, and I could feel it. And I was in so much pain all night. I last looked at the clock at 3 a.m. I went to bed at 8 o'clock, and I was still in pain. Um, you know, so these are the things that I want to chronicle for people who don't know what to expect. You know, the hidden stresses that create inflammation in your body that dumps these stress hormones into you, and you can't get your mind to stop chattering. And that's what happened to me last night. You know, I'm better this morning. Um, you know, Becky and I talked. We know everything's going to get worked out, but what ends up happening is you end up just reliving it over and over in your mind, and it just keeps you keyed up, even though it doesn't do you any good. You know it's going to get worked out, but for some reason your mind just can't shut off. And I know probably a lot of you go through that as well. So I'm feeling better this morning. You know, I've had some coffee, and things are moving, but I just want you guys to all be aware how stress, just one little thing, can spiral into a sleepless night. And it doesn't do you any good to worry about it, but you can't stop worrying about it. So I've backslid a little bit on my stress management, and I'm not journaling as much, and I haven't done any new reading lately on some self-help books, and they really do help. And so I got to get back to not being stressed out and just not trying to control everything. So, little longer update than I wanted, but I think it's important that you see that, we're not just fighting the physical the physical side of cancer. It's everything. It's the driving down, the appointments, the canceled appointments, the waiting, the insurances. It's everything. And if you don't have an advocate, if you don't have a Becky, like I do, and you're not computer savvy, and you can't figure out how to send attachments, you're in for a long road. So I just wanted to share that with you, and hopefully, people that have a health crisis will watch this and realize that they're not alone. It's a lot of people go through this, and a lot of people have it a lot worse. And I am grateful. Just kind of backslid a little bit on my gratefulness, because I know people have it worse than I do. So, wanted to give you this update and let you know that, I'm okay now, and I've got a week and a half off, and going to get back on track and try and figure this diet thing out and go from there. So I love you, and keep up the prayers because they have been working. And I'll update you again soon. Love you all. Bye.